Vitamin Water Zero Sugar has great taste, zero BS, and obviously zero sugar. For those with zero room in their calendar, zero patience for slow walkers, those who get 0 hours of sleep on a Saturday night, have zero filter, zero given, and zero interest in grabbing a plain, boring water. Grab a delicious Vitamin Water Zero Sugar today.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
Hi, I'm Dave, and this is my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
And this is the Cinemile, the podcast where we walk home from the movies. But today we're staying at home and we're talking about the biggest show on TV in Ireland right now, The Traitors. And joining us to talk with full spoilers about episode 10, that's Sunday night's episode, if you're confused as to the day, is Traitor for a Day, Faithful for Life, son of a traitor man, father-to-be, Andrew Maloney. Welcome to the Cinemile, Andrew.
Thank you so much for having me. I mean, they're all the titles I've ever wanted in my life. I mean, there you go.
Update your LinkedIn
Traitor for a Day,
now.
Couldn't hack it. Faithful for life. Also kind of couldn't hack it. I mean, whatever you want to say.
No, come here. I think you got a bad run. I think the tide was against you as you got the cloak on. Anyway, it's nothing to do with your job as a traitor.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I think it kind of started a bit before that as well. I think when your name is brought up at the table at all, and your name is written on any board. So I believe Joe wrote my name on the board 2 nights prior to when I was actually banished. And I feel like there's a bit of a snowballing effect in this game, whereby if someone hears your name, they think, well, if they're looking at him, they're not looking at me. And we got to keep it going that way, And I think if, as well, I know that if someone mentions someone else's name, I'm thinking, well, geez, I haven't thought about them. And then your brain starts to work in funny ways. You find reasons to get rid of someone or to think that someone's a traitor.
You start looking for things that might may not be there.
I'd convinced myself the night before Michelle died. Honestly, I took notes. There must be the notes of the ramblings of a madman. Honestly, I convinced myself the night before that Michelle had died or got murdered, that she was a traitor. And I was coming in the next day ready to take her on. I was like, it's Michelle, it's Linda, and Linda was like, no, Michelle. I was like, well, I'm really bad at this game. That was.
God, but there's no people speak about clues, but there are very few clues.
There's very little to go on.
Very few.
It's just gossip.
Yeah, and it's only retrospectively you kind of look back and think, ooh, there's a couple of clues at the table. For example, the only person that I ever said my dad's name to, the only 2 people I ever said my dad's name to were Caitlin and Joanna. And for Eamon to have heard that I said my dad's name somewhere means that Eamon must have heard it from either Caitlin or Joanna. And had I kind of copped it at the time and pressed, well, where'd you hear that from? Is that just a blatant lie, or did you actually hear it from somewhere? There are small nuggets of information that you can pick up, but in the chaos and madness, it's like, I mean, you may as well throw everything out the window, because any strategies or plans you had going in there, useless. I was full of strategies and plans.
That's it, man. It's a hard game.
It's hard, and you're a gamer, right?
Yeah.
I've seen from your Instagram profile. So you came in here really strategizing.
Yeah, so
right?
I love video games. I love tabletop games like Catan. We play Werewolf at home, which is the party version essentially of this. It's like Mafia. And I like D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and so on. So I like to kind of plot out what I'm doing.
So does Dave.
Yeah, so I like to plot out what I'm
nerd.
doing. But the reality is it's so hard, and that's I think why my dad did so well. He just worked on the fly. And worked so well on the fly and was reactionary at every corner, as opposed to having a set strategy in his mind and being rigid to that strategy. He adapted really well to every situation. So it's funny. I had day one, sure, I was goosed. My plan was to go in and lay low, and all of a sudden there's my dad, and then I'm like, right, well, and then I get pushed out, and it's like, okay.
I think there's 2 parallel universes, right? So one where your dad didn't come in. I'm convinced you'd have flown under the radar and you'd be in the finals now.
Yeah.
And there's a second parallel universe where if your dad just hadn't told you what Caitlin said, and then you hadn't gone to her, and then that wouldn't have blown up, and actually the three traitors might have worked together for like at least like did he tell you don't tell Caitlin?
And he says it to this day. He said he made a mistake. No, lads, look, we have to put our hands up. I have to put my hands up and say, like, I messed up. I mean, like, he told me someone's name. Like, as a faithful, I'm thinking, well, really? Did Caitlin say my name? So I have to confront her. But the reality was, had I stepped away from the situation and thought about it a bit, it was after Niall had went and got murdered. And I was becoming quite close to Niall. I think when he said when he left that he trusted myself and Michelle the most, it was because I was spending a bit of time with Niall. And it's a pity then when he went, I was just, I don't know, I just didn't think straight. And I went to Caitlin with
I think that happened. That happened, Kelly, this week, I think, tonight, and we need to get into the recap. We'll just talk to you all night about your turn.
Yeah, we better do the episode.
But I think that happened, Kelly, when Amy left, it completely threw her off as well.
I think so.
And I can imagine that because you've got a friend in there when you don't know who to trust. Or in your case, your dad's there, but you can't speak to him.
Yeah, exactly. and as well, because I didn't know he was coming in, and sorry, I'm going to the recap, but because I didn't know he was going to be there, I didn't know how he was going to play it. We didn't know how the other person was going to play it. Was he putting on a persona? What was his strategy? Just had to. I don't know if he was playing the game by telling me Caitlin said my name, or was he throwing me a bone by telling me Caitlin said my name? And it's very easy in hindsight to be like, oh well, he was throwing you a bone, but at the same time your head is so frazzled, you want to catch traitors, you just think, oh, what's going on here? Someone's lying.
Oh, it's so. You two on this show, like I've watched loads of seasons of this, like I think it's the most interesting thing I've ever seen. And
it was genius. And it was such a good twist in the first episode.
Yes, it was thrilling to watch. And you know, I think like as we get into this episode now, like I think a lot of people are unhappy with this latest episode for various reasons. And I think the reason I was unhappy with it is I just, from a narrative perspective, to use the word everyone in the house is using, it's a little bit, we want people who are in an exceptional situation like you two were, or maybe someone who's been an underdog, or maybe like something unexpected to happen. So I think just to have two mates now be the traitor after all the shenanigans, it's just a little bit dull now. It's no shade on the lads. Whereas I think like when it's either the traitors fighting or the traitors being related to each other, like that was so thrilling. All of that.
Thanks. I'm glad my pain and strife and my game brought a lot of happiness to the country.
It was so entertaining.
You're suffering.
But like, we thought when you got recruited as traitor, like we thought you two were going to win it to the end. Could you imagine?
People coming up to me and obviously I knew my outcome, obviously because it was pre-recorded, and people come up to me being like, "Oh my God, you're going to go all the way to the end." I'm like, yeah, we are. It's like that meme where you're like smiling on the outside, and actually on the inside you're bawling your eyes out. Yeah.
And like, did your mom know you were both in there?
No, but I said I was going to Brussels. And I don't think she thought twice about it because I go away for work sometimes. But like, I don't know if she did or not. She said she didn't. I just have to take her out of word.
She probably, I mean, you wouldn't assume it. Like, what are the chances of the two of you? I mean, in such a big show.
It's funny because I told people at work I was taking annual leave, and people at home I was off to Brussels at work because I work in Dublin, but I live in Cork. So I had the perfect separation from all of the different places. It was great. Until
that is a good excuse, actually.
I just love that it was a surprise to you two as well. That's what got me. That surprise.
When you said, "What's your name again?" I was like, "That was good acting."
I had to play it up.
I
had to play it up.
Well, you had us fooled.
Yeah, you had us fooled.
I didn't know
so fun. And one more question now before we actually get into the recap. What's it like now that your dad's like the number one most favorite person? He's like what is he?
He's a superstar.
Like he's a superstar.
He's stardom in the last 3 weeks.
We love him.
And it's brilliant. And because he's a lovely man. Like at the end of the day, he's a lovely man. And you can sit down and have a conversation with him. He's a lovely man. And he's a very fair man.
What a
I think it was reflected in the show. I mean, he was just fair. And he didn't back down to when people were kind of jumping on him. He didn't back down. And I think people respected that a lot. Like it was very easy to just kind of sit down and take it. But he was loving it. So I think it's amazing because he's a lovely man, and it's just nice that everyone's recognizing how lovely he is.
Aww. You just won't be able to go out for like a pint anytime soon.
I can go it alone. No one really recognizes me, so it's fine. But he can't go with me.
You could just have everyone like sitting around trying to get autographs from him. Right, we better get into this episode,
sorry, guys.
and I'm really glad you came in for this because we really want your insights on this one because it was very like interpersonal and loads going on here. So it's good to have your inside perspective.
Well, let's kick it off. So the episode started with the reveal of who Nick had chosen for his blackmail, which was of course his best buddy Ben. Now we were saying in our last episode that we thought this would be a bad decision. We thought we were vying for him to choose Oyen or someone else, one of those true faithfuls who's also good. I mean, where was your? I mean, if you were there,
you can
Andrew,
approach it two
who would you
ways.
choose?
Sorry if you can hear my squeaky chair in the background, but you can approach it two ways. I mean, from Nick's perspective, and much like from my dad's perspective, he was looking for someone he could trust in the conclave. And that's the first way. And I suppose at this point in the game, you're looking at alliances. Who can I trust? Who are my alliances? Now, the thing is, for Nick, the alliance with Ben was always going to be there. When he's right in that, Ben was starting to question him, but I'd say Ben would have, had Ben been kept on as a faithful, would Ben just have kind of went with it, Now, the other perspective is then, do you start breaking up cliques and groups by recruiting someone like Owen or Vanessa or Kelly? So my take in it was, I wouldn't have done that. I would have looked to go down the route of break up the clique and bring in someone like Owen, Vanessa, or Kelly, even Amy, anyone just that is in a different group to you. Because it creates a divide there, and the likelihood is, and here's the thing, the likelihood is that someone in that group might notice that person's behavior changing, and then you can kind of you can go for them and you can vote them out.
Yeah. You can ride the wave.
That's such a good point. This is why we needed more reviews of Traitor, because this is great logic.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know if it's great logic or not, but it's just two ways to approach the situation, and that's the thing. This game is so situational, and anything can happen. But I think the emotions kind of took over for Nick in that he needed someone he could trust in the conclave, whereas there were many other trustworthy players there that probably wouldn't have turned on him, but he could have easily turned on had pressure come on them because he didn't know what they were like under pressure.
See, I agree with you, Andrew, and that's where our heads were at as well. However, we've got to say, having watched the whole episode now, and we will get into it at the end, but this strategy seems to have worked out very well for them because they left the cliques intact, and the cliques did a turf war.
It was perfect. Like Ben said it himself, and they just had to sit back, and they played it. And I know it's easy to say they just had to sit back, but they did it and did it really well. And they just sat back.
That's true.
And they kind of let it happen. But at the same time, at the round table brought in their 2 cents. But sure, we can get to that in time anyway.
And I think of your poor dad. Your poor dad was doing back-breaking work every day to defend himself, and
in the conclave and in the round
he's
table.
finally gone off for a nap, and these two are here just sitting back and relaxing.
I know, it's such an easier ride than he had.
I don't know what they're all worried about.
You come in like Ben's come in with great energy now to be a traitor, like into the final hurdle. Whereas, like anyway, if someone was still a traitor from the beginning, they'd probably just be like, I can't do this anymore.
You can tell the game is starting to take its toll on all the players as well. You can tell that players are tired, players are kind of, their senses are heightened, a bit on edge, and you can see it even with Ben.
But Nick was knackered.
Yeah, he looked really tired.
He looked exhausted.
Tired.
And that's only a few nights as the traitor. Like, I think your dad stayed fresher than all the rest of them.
He's some energy, man.
We were laughing though because when he was in the cloak, we were like, obviously when Ben walked in, he's like, that's Nick, because like
the height of
he's the tallest man in the room.
He's like a Dementor.
I think Nick cleverly kept his head down while he was in the club.
He did all right, that's right.
Yeah, but
Which
even then,
somehow made him look more like a Dementor.
I love the reference.
There was just no one else tall enough that it could have been. Like, there really wasn't.
Your dad actually did get mentioned at breakfast, though. Did you? I liked Nick. Nick had a good line, which was smart. He said that I genuinely think that Potty hated us. So I think he was drawing a line between the traitors and himself,
particularly because they, I suppose, Nick and Ben were the instigators of what happened with me. And he can probably play on the fact that, like, we were the ones who went in for his son. Like, he must have hated us. So why would he bring us in? There was a lot of times, actually, where Nick made comments, small, slight comments, that you just think, that's a really good time to make a comment. And we can get into it as well. Like it happened when Kelly came into breakfast. He said, "Oh, you smell nice." Even while she was at like her worst state ever. He's like, "Oh, you smell very nice," and she was like, "Thank you." It's just the small things that Nick does that kind of charms everyone. And makes him kind of seem so harmless, and it disarms you again. That instant charm, and he's playing it quite well.
That's really interesting from the insider perspective because it doesn't quite come across on camera. So from at
Kelly's
home,
smell.
I'm like, why do they all trust him so much? Like, I don't
Nick
get
is an
it.
incredibly trustworthy person, and he's a very nice guy, and he's just playing into it like he's a nice guy, and he just plays it well.
Well,
Well,
he's a smart player.
we know he's trustworthy because he has 6 siblings and he plays sports, right? Which is,
Deadpan,
the two
straight
hallmarks
ahead,
of trustworthiness.
Don't blink while I say all this. My rehearsed lines.
That was
This is
tough,
like,
man.
That was so
I have a
bad.
family of 6, 2 siblings.
Yeah.
Kind of like
None of them
it's
actually.
like from Jarhead,
None of
where
them.
he's just like stroking the gun. This is my gun, my own, and my weapon.
There we go. Thank you. A movie reference. Movie podcast.
Great, thank you. But yeah, no, it was smart, and it annoys. This episode's annoyed me now because I'm like, I want everyone to be smart, right, and thinking logically, and no one's going. Hang on a second, Paddy's always votes for Traitors. Paddy stuck the knife in on Nick, and only 24 hours ago, Nick was saying, the reason I'm still around is because Paddy's a traitor and he likes me so much that he's kept me here. So, like, nobody's stepping back for a second and thinking logically. I think at this point they're all what do you think, Andrew? Like, why are they not thinking
I don't know. And actually, it's funny. Everyone who's left the castle, including myself, they've always asked. Sorry, you guys picked up your cups at the same time. It's brilliant. They've always asked, who's the best game player? And everyone without fail has said Nick. And you've got to be asking yourself, well, if Nick's the best game player, why is Nick still there? And even still, he's changed his tune. You know, Paddy and I were so close. You know, he went to Eamon about giving away his strategy of keeping a traitor close, and then all of a sudden, like you said, Paddy hates me all of a sudden. It's a total change, but like you said, he's so disarming. You just brush it off. You know.
It's
Yeah.
worked.
It's worked perfectly.
Yeah, it's clearly worked.
He's able to sell like anything.
And also, they're all just so suspicious of each other now because now at breakfast, Oyen's saying, I think it's Faye, like the Faye, Joe, Vanessa stuff.
It all gets seeded around the breakfast, but it's really just before the challenge after breakfast when this all starts to solidify.
And what I find interesting there is Faye's asking herself the right questions. Why am I still here? You know, as someone who's killed, why are all these players gone and why am I still here? Yet in the same vein, then she spoke to Ben and Nick and she says, I trust you guys. I trust you guys wholeheartedly. I was thinking, well, that's why you're still
Come
here.
on,
Like,
Faye.
ask yourself, like, why am I still here? It's because the people that you trust the most think that they can keep you here. You know, and it's funny. I've always hated when people ask themselves that question. Why me? Why am I still here? But it's actually a great question to ask yourself. It's how you have to be thinking because it's a hard game to win. And if you're on the right track, you would have been booted out at this stage.
And you have to be careful where you place your trust. And it was unfortunate that Faye literally said the words we were on. I really, really trust you to Ben.
I think like we'll get to predictions at the end, but I feel like at the end it's going to be those two and Faye, and they're gonna and she's gonna lose the money. I just have this fear for her. I hope it doesn't happen.
You could be right.
But yeah, then Ben and Nick are whispering Kelly's not strong enough to go after us. That happened.
No, well, that was in the conclave.
Oh, that was in the conclave. Sorry.
Where and I thought
they're not wrong though.
You don't have to comment on this, Andrew, because I know you know everybody. But like from my perspective, I thought Ben and it's not a good look for Ben and Nick, and I know they're by themselves, but they are literally the whole nation's watching, and they've gone through the whole, Ben saying that Caitlin was a weak traitor, and she told us last week, he's apologized about that and all this kind of stuff. But I thought they should have been a bit careful about like saying people aren't weak or strong.
But they're just analysing them as players though.
I think
and like Kelly is never guessing the right people.
The thing is, like, they're so immersed in the game that they're thinking purely about the game as opposed to about the person's character. They're playing the game, and from a game perspective, they're thinking, well, as you just said there, Kathy, Kelly's only actually ever guessed it correctly once, and it's been Eamon. But then I think she also voted for Caitlin. On the night we all voted for Caitlin, I think she also had suspicions of Caitlin. But so I think they might be underestimating Kelly a little bit. I think Kelly, I suppose, she actually brought her opinions to the table quite a bit with Eamon the first night too. So I think they just might have either misunderstood Kelly a little bit or underestimated her a little bit, because Kelly to me was a strong character in the game. She was someone who would bring her opinion to the table if she had an opinion on it.
But she's also playing, I think we've talked a lot about how like there's two games happening here. It's not just the round table and the voting and the trade. It's the social aspect, and I think Kelly is playing a very good social game.
Yes.
She's everyone seems to like her. She's got that 100% faithful tag that people love to get, which can be dangerous.
I think I said it to her one round table. I said, Kelly, sorry, no, I might throw you in the crap here, but like you're 100% faithful. And she said, thanks, but no thanks. I like a bit of a poison challenge.
I'm gonna get murdered.
God damn it, Andrew.
Yeah, because they are going to murder you because no one's ever going to vote you out, basically. But it does all kind of kick off here with Joanna telling Vanessa and Kelly that about Faye, but then Faye and Vanessa go for a chat and they think that Joe's like trying to be a mastermind. Faye thinks it's Joe.
Guys,
it all unraveled
I got
here.
incredibly confused at this point.
Oh my God, we were
like,
saying the same.
There's no point in me standing here and being like, oh yeah, I know exactly what they're all talking about. I don't. I think it was, and the thing is, like Joe said it herself, her game was to go tell everyone what the other person was talking or saying about them. But Joe, like it's a game of Chinese whispers then. Joe could be misrepresenting someone back to someone else, could be misrepresenting what someone else says back to them, and all of a sudden it looks like, well, who's the conduit here? Who's the person in the middle? It's Joe, and that's going to catch up with you. And I think what happened was it started to catch up with her at that point. People are just thinking, well, Joe said that you said my name, Faye, and Vanessa turned around to Faye and said, well, no, you said my name, and Joe told me that, and it's like, well, who's the middle person here? It's Joe, and that's where the confusion is lying. Yeah, you
don't want to be at the center of some half-remembered things where you've been the web of information. I think there was a miscommunication.
Because even
somewhere,
we take notes on it, and we couldn't remember watching it. They've been there for 10 days at this point. Like, who could remember? They're all gossiping and talking and.
But there were so many. It
was really boring to watch. I have to say, we were really bored watching it.
We were struggling because there were so many. They were all recounting several different conversations to each other that were to them very important and fresh in their memory, and to us were relatively inconsequential. Even though they edited in deliberately a few episodes ago that little side chat between Joanna and Oyen, which turned out to be very consequential.
It did. And actually, I think on that conversation, and correct me if I'm wrong here, please, but I think on that conversation, Joanna had turned and asked who Oyen was voting for in the night.
Exactly. And I think they both, but then Oyen had said, I'm voting for Faye. So they both were telling the truth and also misremembering it.
It was an utter miscommunication. It was just a mess. And then Owen...
And it happens. It makes it like...
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just became a bit... Because when I always find myself tuning out is when no one's actually... When there's not a traitor plotting or a traitor being potentially banished. I find it very dull to watch Faithful fight among themselves because you're like, this is, as Dave said, it's inconsequential. Yeah. And I was like, girls, turn around and look at the two lads who are jumping around the
lads
place,
twirling
shouting.
Their mustaches over in the corner here.
They're normally the most vehement, vehement, plotting. Nick's always really gregarious, and suddenly they're saying nothing. And I think I was just so frustrated. And I think people have gone nuts online about this episode, but I think a lot of that might come from just the frustration of watching them all get it so wrong, and also. You've so many big characters gone from the game now, and we've talked about this when we reviewed the first week of the series. We were saying typically on Traitors, a lot of the big personalities do tend to leave, and the big early Traitors. Then the show was kind of half riding on your dad's back because he's such a character. So in the same kind of 2 nights, we had him, who's the biggest character in the show, go with all the excitement with you and him kind of coming to an end, and we had the in plain sight challenge, which is so thrilling.
Yeah.
So this week, then off the back of all that, it was a bit we still really we still enjoyed watching it, but it was such a come
when
down.
The Traitors' plans are going completely perfectly and they're in the background, it doesn't make great telly.
It's like, oh no,
yeah,
oh no, God damn, guys,
yeah. And there's just not enough people there anymore. So usually we'd have flicked over.
We'd be looking at that as well. If there's not enough people there, I don't think you can take a day off. I don't think that, and the lads very clearly, well, it should have been clear to the other contestants, took a bit of a day off, and I don't think anyone at any point in the game should be allowed to take a day off. Sorry.
I know.
Exactly.
And especially because Nick and Ben have been to like so on it for every other episode. We're traitor hunters and we're absolute warning signs.
All of a
These
sudden,
lads are just like...
no, I just think it might be you
Yeah,
because
nothing.
of the death row. That was it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like they should have been seeding ahead, but like the other thing is like from a viewer's point of view, usually there was more characters for the camera to pan to so we could move away. But we ourselves unfortunately got stuck in this like fairly dull conversation that none of us could really follow. But
was very important to the people.
It was very
involved.
important to them,
But yeah.
and I really felt bad for Faye and all this because I feel like Faye's really kind of gotten stuck in the middle of like, she isn't a traitor, but everyone's kind of
looking at Faye being like, you know, you look like you're being a traitor because of the way you're acting or behaving in a certain situation.
Yeah.
Which I don't like. I don't buy into the personally. I don't buy into the whole you're behaving a specific way must be a traitor, as in like you're crying too hard or crying too much. Or too little, or you're not empathetic
like,
enough. You're too empathetic, and it's like in that specific situation of that high stress kind of moment and pressure cooker environment, you're going to react whatever way is appropriate to you as a person. You know.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, no matter who you are.
And I think that's why Faye got so upset is because she had a genuine panic attack and a emotional reaction to the situation, and then that's being questioned. But then also that's the nature of the game, to question everyone's point of view.
Exactly.
So,
or like you, Andrew, questioning her portrait.
Oh
and
my
how
God,
it looked
lads!
different.
Oh yeah.
We call that my paranoid era. That's all we call that. I went through a paranoid era. It was like a strange story arc in my character arc, you know, the paranoid story arc. I'm glad it crashed and fell right there and then, because I said it to Faye. I was like, afterwards, I was like, I'm sorry. I mean, like, I just all of a sudden you've just lost it. And it's funny how I said it about Faye, the girl who had been caught up in all of this catfishing stuff that I mentioned about.
Yeah, we didn't know that actually until recently.
Faye was it was Faye's identity that was used as part of the catfishing piece. The GA catfish, so it's just it was just awful awkward that I ended up saying it to poor old Faye, and it actually was only because I think Siobhan had asked Faye to go up and get the portrait down that day, and I was like, oh my God, look at the portrait and Faye, they look totally different. And sure, you look at mine, I'm just after finishing work, I look like a wreck. I'm like, oh my God. So you just I mean, like, the stuff you read into, lads.
You're looking for any
the stuff
clue,
you read into.
Yeah.
Honest to God.
It was very enjoyable though. And what did you think of the challenge, Andrew?
I actually thought the challenge threw a bit of a cat in amongst the pigeons. I thought it was good, to be honest. I thought it was good. It was unfortunate that it went the way it did, in the sense of that everyone just gravitated towards Joe. I think if there were a few more or other lanterns out, it would have been interesting. I think Nick or Ben had a great opportunity to sow a seed of doubt in the other person's mind if they wanted to win it themselves. And I think they proved that they don't want to win it by themselves. Like they could have doused one of each other's flames if they wanted to sow a seed of doubt there. But
that would have been
but that's if they wanted to win it by themselves. But I think they very clearly have shown that they want to win it together and that they are a duo.
Yeah, I think so too. They're united.
I mean, I'd be shocked if one of them turned on the other. Like,
same.
I just can't
yeah,
see
same.
it.
I think they're very much.
Though I thought Nick was going to have your dad's back, so I was devastated by that.
I think. Yeah, Nick, I suppose it was just self-preservation at that stage, and he kind of knew that he could probably.
He just thought he was probably a loose cannon.
To be fair, your dad was trying to throw Nick out as well.
All's fair in love and traitors, guys.
Exactly.
I love it. I don't think you saw Paddy's exit interview. I'm speaking to Dave here, but he goes, like, Nick, I'll shake your hand, but I don't think you should win.
Fair enough.
I love that. Iconic. But yeah, I think it was really clever to do the dagger and the shield thing as well, because it kind of set Joe up, because she's obviously very intelligent. She's like, well, they all think I'm suspicious. They're all going to come at me. There's no point in getting a shield because I need to stop myself getting banished. So then she does the nice thing and give the shield to Kelly, and then that was nearly part of her undoing.
It was.
Like,
and can I just say, just the addition of the dagger in the game itself was a brilliant addition. I think it cool. Adds an extra element to any round table. And
is it new?
It was in New Zealand season 2, I believe.
Okay.
Oh, God, love this lore.
Yeah, no, I think it was actually. There's a lot of similarities actually between New Zealand and the Irish Traitors, I think.
Interesting.
But
What's that?
spoiler alert for season 2 of New Zealand. If you go onto that, you find out who wins season 1. So we made that mistake. So don't start
okay,
from season
good to
2
know.
if you want to watch season 1.
Okay.
But I think it was in season 2 of New Zealand, and it just brings that extra element of, I've got a bit more power. And it did put Joanna in a bit of a precarious position because
Yeah.
you kind of want to be like, well, if I prove I'm faithful if I keep the shield, but what good is a shield to me if I get voted out in the next round table? And I think she made the clever move. I think she made the clever move
Yeah, I
of,
do
of
too.
trying to
I think
build
so too.
trust with someone else, because then all of a sudden you have 3 votes, and you're looking at 3 votes. I think that would have been a 6 votes. So there's 6 votes remaining outside of those 2 people. So if you could just swing 2 other people, all of a sudden you're winning. Or
If only she wasn't so hot on Faye with no evidence.
yeah,
Because her counter argument was so. I'm skipping ahead now. I'm totally skipping ahead. On the challenge, we already said like when they all have to say whether they're trustworthy, which was so embarrassing.
That's hard. That is a challenge.
I think
Imagine having to talk about yourself
but
for
the only
for a
person
minute.
from memory that did a good job here was actually Kelly, because she spoke about her own behaviors.
yeah.
Whereas the other people like talking. Whether or not you're close with your sister
I actually
has
quite
nothing
liked.
to do
Yeah,
with.
I actually quite liked Will's when we're look. I'll be
What was
I'll
Will's
be
again?
with you during your highs and I'll be with you during your lows. I'll
Yeah,
I'll
that's
be there
lovely.
for you,
Nice.
like, you know. And I thought that's
Yeah.
quite nice,
Yeah.
because that to me is someone who's
That's
trustworthy.
perfect.
Um,
Yeah, speaking
Yeah.
about your traits and
Exactly,
your behaviors,
yeah.
Greg. Speaking about your
I
siblings,
don't
as
buy
well.
into it.
Reading out your paragraph bio
Yeah,
that you would
yeah.
read on
And it did
you
feel
know, I
like
was
some of them
born
were
in-
reading from a script
in-
at times, as if there was like a teleprompter in front of them.
Yeah, they just didn't know what to
Yeah.
say. Like in Oyen said, I love that you said this. I'm fond of myself. I like my ideas.
I mean,
And I just
bless
gravitate
her,
towards
we-
people who could confirm how good I am.
we love Oyen, but she said it herself. Like, what was she talking about? It's hard to go
so
first.
hard
as
to
well.
go first, lads.
This is like Andrew. This is harking back to when you said, "I'm here to hunt faithful at your last banishment."
Oh, stop.
I'm here to-
Does that
Oh,
haunt
lads,
you?
do you know what though?
Yeah.
When they hit the split vote, I was out. I was like mentally, I clocked out
Yeah.
when they hit the split vote, because I was like,
Yeah.
I tried to kind of get people to vote for Patrick at the table, but it just wasn't. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
sticking. And
Yeah.
when it didn't stick fully, I was like, do you know what? No, I have no conviction here.
Yeah,
I
I'm
have no
out.
conviction
You
whatsoever.
looked, you looked so tired as well. I was like, he's not as hardy as his
No,
dad.
not
Like,
at all.
This man needs to go
I
to
was
bed.
not. I was not built for these long hours. I don't know how I'm going to cope.
It's
with
like
trying
it's
to-
like it's 5:30 on a Sunday. You're trying to log off a call, and like your colleagues won't get off the call.
Yeah,
That was you
it's
at
like,
the
get me out
final
of
round
there.
table.
Yeah.
You're like just fine.
yeah, so-
and then we.
Sorry, Kathy. Sorry. On the trustworthy piece, I also didn't buy the using your job as a means of saying how trustworthy you are. I was
Yeah,
like,
that doesn't make any
don't do
sense either.
that. There are plenty of untrustworthy people that have good trusting jobs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's never been an untrustworthy real estate agent, for instance.
It was very good. But no, the dagger thing was interesting, and it was funny the way she was kind of stroking the dagger
Yeah.
on the way home. But I just felt for Joey here. I was like, she obviously didn't have like a friendship group. She is struggling socially. She tries to do a nice thing for Kelly. She just blatantly fucked up by going to Faye and telling her everything Vanessa and Oyen had been saying. Like when that happened last week, we were like, why is she doing
Yeah,
this?
and I think again it was just her game plan to just go to people and say, well, you know,
Be
yeah,
transparent.
Kelly said this about you, Faye, or Faye said this about you, Vanessa,
Mm-hmm.
and it was transparency, but at the same time, it becomes Chinese whispers, and you become the middle person, and
Yeah.
that's what happened. It was
Yeah.
Chinese whispers, and Joe was the middle person, and it caught up with her. And at that stage,
Yeah.
there are 2 stages to the game. The first stage is, to me, there are 2 stages to the game. First one's laying low, kind of getting through, making that social kind of contacts, and then the other one then is building those social contacts and trust towards the end. I think you hit on it, Dave, about, you know, Kelly's playing the social element really well, and you know, the other one is finding traitors and so on. But I think Joe just didn't play the social element of the game well. It kind of came back to bite
And
her.
it's hard because she said she's a bit older. She's got a daughter that she's
Yeah.
missing. Actually, she had a lovely moment with your dad last week where they
Yeah.
were both saying, like, he was saying he missed your mom, and
That's
she
a
was
nice
saying
scene.
about how she missed her
You're like,
kids.
guys, make an
like-
alliance, you know?
I know.
I know, it was right
Yeah.
there.
I mean,
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
but
shared
look,
trauma.
he probably knew he was on his last legs at that point. But it was, I felt for her, like, as someone who's the same age as her as well, I was just like, oh, I don't know how I'd do in there without my kids, and like, it's tough. But we'll get to the round table because that was fairly brutal.
The answer is Kathy would be murdered.
Cheers.
because
Kathy
she
would
is
be just
ruthless.
fine.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm
What
not
am I
worried
doing
about her.
there? You're just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think everyone thinks they'd be good at it, but like we'd all
It's a hard
buckled,
game.
Like I admire you all so much because I think it's for our entertainment. You have sacrificed yourselves.
Little secret, lads. I went in there to play the game. I just forgot about the cameras. I just love the idea of playing the game. So it was a happy coincidence that people are enjoying it. I really enjoyed playing the
good.
game.
Well,
I'm
that's
delighted that
lovely.
everyone loved it,
Yeah.
but I just really wanted to play the game. So it was funny
Oh,
that
you got it when you
kind
left.
of, yeah,
then.
the kind of show element of the game didn't really resonate with me a little bit. Like I was kind of, if I hadn't appeared on camera at all, I would have been happy because I just wanted to play the game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think I said that actually.
And you got to play both sides as well.
I
Yeah,
did.
you-
The only
Yeah.
thing I did not
Yeah.
get. This is my only gripe. I did not get to murder someone.
I thought
Oh,
that,
yeah.
yeah, because you got to
Right.
recruit, but not. Or no, what did you get?
We
You
got to
and
put
Polly
people
did
in death
something
row,
together.
and that actually goosed us
Oh,
on the
the
night
death
as well.
row.
Because I
Yeah.
think the original plan for my dad was to bring me in and then murder Nick, and then Siobhan comes in and says you're on death row. Bring in 4 people for death row.
That would have been.
Yeah.
If he'd
It's
brought
not
you
as
in and
good.
murdered Nick, you'd have been solid.
Yeah, it would have been
like.
a good enough old spot then. But look,
Yeah.
You could always always murder someone in real life, Andrew. There's other options.
I mean, it's not quite the same thing.
I love the way you say someone's dead when they're
Yeah,
gone. Like it's so funny. That would have been a great plan of your dad's, though. Oh, what could have been?
Sorry.
But you two did very well to buy out when you did, because I think the people who left like last week kind of they got to be in the game long enough for people to get to know them, like yourselves and Christine and like Caitlin. But then you also get to do the fun stuff, like go on the Late Late Show and be part of the conversation, whereas the others can't really do anything until it's over. And that's actually quite tough. So I think he came out right at the right time. But after the challenge, this is where Nick gave a bit of advice to Faye, didn't he?
Yeah, Nick. Well, was it advice or is he manipulating her? He tries to convince her to vote for Vanessa instead of Joe, and he said there's smart ways to play the game, which I thought was a little condescending.
But I think he's trying to give her advice. But again, we talked about this last week with Caitlin. It's something from my female point of view. When I'm watching a man like give advice like that, I feel condescended to, even though he might have given the same advice to another man. But it's just how I perceive that kind of advice and how a lot of women do. And I think that's what's getting people's women's backs up. But he probably might have made the same comment to a man. So that's just our social, we all receive information differently.
But again, I think like you say, Andrew, he's clearly doing it he's clearly not doing
He's not
that
getting her back up.
in a bad way. He's got her trust. He's got everyone's trust. So I mean, there's no issue
He's
there.
saying it
It's
from
just a
his
wider
game
context
perspective,
thing.
but he's trying to make it seem like, well, I'm kind of doing you a favor here, Faye. Play the game,
Yeah,
play the game
yeah,
smart
yeah.
in this way.
Yeah, and he was right in the sense to tell her, because like she was probably getting too involved when like clearly Joanna or Vanessa were going to go.
I actually think it was kind of sound advice as well from Faye's perspective. Now whether or not she was to play the game that way herself, that was her decision. But from her perspective, I think it was sound advice. Just kind of sit back and let them talk it out, and you can just chime in every once in a while if you want. And actually, Faye, I think, had that idea herself anyway, because she went in and said to Vanessa, "You take the lead on this one. You're stronger than me." And it was actually clever from Faye to do that, I think, because
it was clever.
because it kind of leaves it between it's a Vanessa and Joe show, and I think Faye would have done that herself anyway, and did do that in the end, regardless of Nick's advice or otherwise.
Yeah, you're right. That was a great shout, actually.
Let's get into the Vanessa and Joe show. So it kicks off with Vanessa. She went first at the round table. She went straight for
We
Joe.
didn't quite talk about before this, sorry, and I won't labor on it, but there was like a few people, like Will said, I'm going for Vanessa. Joe was saying I thought there was going to be more of a Vanessa Joe.
That's true. I thought so too.
Like, people clearly suspect Vanessa, and I think she was in the midst of all that confusion with Joe. So I don't know. Were you surprised that it ended up all
Yeah, I
Joe?
think Patrick said it quite cleverly before, and I have to credit this to him. The game is won and lost at the round table. And I think for Joe, the game was lost at that round table that night. Because very clearly that there was a split as to who people were going for. They thought it was 4-4, but it actually ended up being a complete snowball towards Joe. I think because she lost that debate with Vanessa. Vanessa is very eloquent in her words. She's very well spoken, very well articulate, and easily gets her point across in the kind of a snappy manner. Whereas I think Joe, when there was several people coming at her, was kind of like, okay, I'll answer this question first and this question. Then there became the confusion between Joe and Owen about who said what that night, and then all of a sudden it turned out there was no conversation that night, and again Joe was just the conduit for she was the person that was involved in all of these discussions, so all roads kind of led to Joe, if that makes sense, because she was the one who was involved in all these discussions. So I was surprised that Vanessa didn't get more heat at the table, but I think it was that once Vanessa put pressure on Joe, Owen then came in, and then Faye came in, and then Ben came in, and then everyone just kind of said, ha, I can't be the only one who's thinking this. It must be Joe.
Yeah.
So regardless of how the conversation was going to go back towards Vanessa, I think people had already made their minds up.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
But it was, and she just kind of got caught really with what appeared like a lie, but was really just a miscommunication.
That's all it was.
And once there's a lie, I mean, we talked about you guys having very little to go on, but a lie, if you can catch someone in a lie, and we have seen it a few times.
You need to keep your mouth shut in there. Like, I don't know why people are running around. Like I'd be like, and again, it's so easy to like, what is it called? Like Monday morning quarterbacking it. But like, I'm like, yeah, just keep your mouth shut. Stop talking. Like, they're talking.
It's hard.
But then if you keep your mouth shut too much,
I felt for Joanna.
That's kind of what happened to me as well. I didn't go out aiming supposedly hard enough at the round table. And I was too quiet at the round table with Eamon, because I was in the midst of all that lie, and then that was what Nick and Ben kind of plugged. You were too quiet. You didn't go at him hard enough, and so you just go in, and it's such a fine line to thread.
It's tricky as well, because I saw there's a ton of commentary online about this round table, and I was reading a lot of it today because Caitlin had mentioned to us last week that like Reddit's quite intense, and I hadn't been on Reddit, but I went on it today to see what people are saying about this, and it was wild.
Reddit isn't very intense.
Now it was really intense. It was on many fronts, against Joanna, against Oyen. So against Joanna for inserting herself and muddling things, against Oyen for what people are claiming was a lie, she said, even though I think it's a total misunderstanding. And because I think they both said the incident wrong, like Joanna also said it wrong. And then loads of people coming at Kelly for when she kind of giggled. And like, people need to call.
Yeah, and I think knowing the people that are in there, I think people need to understand there's not a bad bone in anyone's body that's in there.
Yeah.
Exactly. There really isn't. Kelly is like genuinely one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Oyen the same, so genuine, easy to have a conversation with. Vanessa, Faye, also lovely. Nick and Ben, all lovely, able to have a chat with them. I just think it just culminated when there were so many miscommunications, the supposed lie, and then the misremembering. I think Kelly made a light-hearted comment of, thanks for the shield, but I'm still going to vote for you. Sorry, not sorry.
It hurt.
And I think it just kind of it hurt Joe, and it kind of came at the wrong time. And look, at the end of the day, the game's not personal. Like, you have to leave and you have to go, and like supposedly people telling me I've had the biggest reason to be salty when I left, but at the end of the day, you can't be, because it's just part of the game.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, but watching the show, it's like, I think on the round table, and it seems to be one of the most stressful experiences you could possibly go through, right?
It looks horrific.
And so I would say the emotions that you all feel, and the accusations, that's all real. The hurt is real. It's all like, so that exists in the round table. I think the testament is to all of you, is that as soon as you get up into that circle, which it bugged me that Joanna didn't step in the middle of the circle.
Dave, is that written in the notes? As if that's like...
God damn it, Joanna.
Pertinent.
Just like 2 steps to the right, please. Or to the left. And but as soon as they get up there, and as soon as they leave the show, and as soon as everyone even leaves the round table in the castle, I think things calm down. And that normality resumes. The red mist goes away. Like, and in credit to all of you, you are able to step out of there and say, look, that was the game. Everyone goes off and apologizes to everyone. Kelly, I think she kind of made a misstep there at the round table. Then she goes and apologizes to camera, right? Vanessa says, I feel bad. I feel I've realized that I'm a dickhead.
That was a great
People
line.
are being hard on themselves.
Yeah.
And what the general public aren't doing is they're staying in the round table mode, and they're like throwing this outrage and emotion
I think
at all of you online, and it's not cool.
agree. I couldn't agree anymore. I think self-reflection is where you grow, and all of them were self-reflecting at that time, and they were all kind of saying to themselves, "Well, God, I went at her maybe a little bit too hard," or they were sad for having hurt her feelings. It's not a different. It's not like they all left and thought, well, she cried.
Yeah, they were upset.
They were
but
sad.
I did feel. Is Joanna from Poland?
Yeah, I think she's Polish
Yes,
originally. Yeah.
originally. Yeah.
Yeah. So my mother-in-law, no, my stepmother, my dad's wife is Polish, and like say me and my sisters are all from Cork, right? She truly, when we're in a group, often can't understand us, despite the fact that she's fluent English and has lived here and has lived in London and hasn't lived in Poland in decades. And
Cork people speak
They
very
do.
fast.
we
They
do
do.
speak very
When I
fast.
first met my wife's family, I was like, oh my God, translator, please.
And we slow ourselves down like the podcast, and we forget sometimes, and people message us say whoa. So first of all, and she said it on the after show, so there's a language barrier, albeit she's got like fluent English. Then you've got like cultural barriers, right? People act different, even different countries. Then you have that thing where she like genuinely had a motherly moment where she gave Kelly the shield.
Yeah, because she saw how much she was hurting.
So I think yeah, and then everyone on the table piling on you, as we've discussed, must be horrific,
tough,
right? So all that's happening, and I think the moment, and I still believe, I fully believe that Kelly just did it in the like, look, it's the round table, I'm throwing this out there to lighten the mood. But when Kelly made that joke, you just kind of saw Joanna's heart, like she was kind of like, this is the one person I thought was going to like have my back.
Yeah.
So then she got
It's
very
Ralph
upset.
Wiggum's heartbreaking. And
you can see the moment his heart breaks.
I could see it. I could see it. We've all been in situations like that, and it's a very like can often be a very like female dynamic. And then when she got up, and then I think where this all kind of went very incendiary online, and is she said like, "You're all mean girls, and I want the lads to win," and then that just set the cat amongst the pigeons, and like she said it out of a place of hurt, and.
I think
they'll have felt that. Like to get that label as a woman is not what you want to be getting.
I think a lot of people felt like they were just transported. The public, I imagine, felt like they were transported back to secondary school. A little bit.
That's it.
It was brutal, and I did find like I got my back up when she said, "Well, I want the lads to win because you're a bunch of mean girls." Because I said, "Well, fuck the lads because they all voted for you too." So like, why do men get away with things that women don't? Like, no one's talking about them online.
And they sat back and just kind of watched it happen. Like.
Yeah. Like no one kind of came in and even vaguely gave her a defense or like. So it's one of those situations where you watch it as an adult. You're like, I empathize with every single person.
Everyone. Yeah.
In the situation, and that's where I just wish that like people on the internet would like cop.
Just chill out, internet, will you?
And just they're all friends now. They've all said it's fine. It's just like I understand the whole thing, and I'm glad we had you on to talk about it because it's really interesting, like from a social dynamic perspective with a lot of them. Like, did you feel bad watching it? Were you like,
I did. Obviously, I didn't know once you leave, you don't know what happens. So then when you get into the nitty gritty, you're like, oh God, I'm kind of glad I'm not there because I don't think I would have done well in that situation. That would have brought me straight back to secondary school, not in a good way.
And it doesn't look fun anymore.
No.
And we were chatting a bit to people on Instagram last night, and we were saying this episode's not fun, and already I think people already came into all this being down on the new traitor, not that they dislike Ben, but just that people find it a bit boring, the two lads of the traitors now. And then this all happened, so everyone last night was like, so I think there's pressure. We're recording this Monday evening, and we better get off.
Speaking of, the next episode's about to start in 7 minutes. So
I'm just really like, oh my God, Andrew, we've kept it, but
I've kept myself
basically
talking.
It better be good tonight because I think the sentiment could go feral.
Yeah.
Andrew, we have to ask. So, couple of questions, couple of final questions. Who do you think they're going to murder tonight, and who do you think is going to be in the final or could win?
If they're going along the lines of breaking up cliques, they need to get rid of Owen or Vanessa. I think in murder. I think if they're going along the lines of breaking up cliques, because that's still a small group, as small as it is, it's still a group. But
Vanessa's got heat, so I think they will be Owen.
And then, sorry, your second
question.
question,
Owen's
Dave.
the smart move to murder.
Yeah.
And the second question is, who do you see going all the way?
It's hard to look past the lads at the moment, isn't it? It's hard to look past them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in a very strong position.
Like they said, it's theirs to lose. I think they're right. It really is at this stage. They'd have to mess up monumentally because no one's looking at
It's
them.
hard to look past them.
Yeah.
It's hard to...
Tonight will be quite thrilling. Andrew, we have to let you go and at least have a cup of tea before the episode. Now that we've met virtually, we're all in Cork. Someday,
Absolutely.
When you've got free time after your baby, please come to the cinema.
Come to the cinema with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's not it's not weird at all, I promise.
Yeah, you just walk down the street, everyone stares at you.
Everyone stares
How do I
at
leave the
everyone's staring at him.
Yeah, they'd be staring at Andrew actually. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure. Give your dad a love, tell him we're his biggest fans. And thanks so much for coming on and enjoy tonight's episode.
And of course, if you're listening to this, stay right there. We're going to have a quick ad break, and then me and Kathy will be back after episode 11 to chat about it. Hello, we're back. So it's been about an hour since we were chatting to Andrew. We obviously watched the next episode of Traitors, and now here we are talking about the Traitors.
Thanks, Andrew. You were a great guest. Loved
again.
having you on. What a laugh. Could have talked all evening. I'm glad we didn't make him miss this episode of Traitors.
Well, it was touch and go.
It was like 9:27 when we got off.
I know. We would have loved to have watched it with him and then kept talking, but we can't be forcing people to stay up in the conclave past midnight. We're not.
I'm so glad that episode went the
Zoom.
way it did, because it really, like, just when Andrew was saying that, like, you wouldn't want to be there anymore, it's not fun, we were saying it feels really horrible and unfun, and then, like, right at the end, and we'll get to it, they kind of brought everyone back to life a bit with the banquet. So I'm really glad that happened like that.
A bit nasty before that though, and let's go
Jesus.
through it. So breakfast happens. Ben comes down, says, I would have rather gone in on my own because I'm afraid I'm going to mess up, and then he messes up. He does what I would describe as a Wilkin move, and refers to Wilkin in the past tense, thereby also spoiling to the audience who they've murdered, which I liked. I like this little editor.
I thought they killed Oyen, so... and Kelly misses it.
Kelly missed it. I mean, there's only one. Sorry, Kelly. There's one other person in the room, and even Ben's face, his eyes bulged like he can't believe what he just said.
And also the fact that such a big deal was made about Wilkin doing this, so it's already in the ether about referring. Unless maybe because it turned out Wilkin was a faithful after he did it, that maybe she disregarded it. But like, I don't think she even heard it.
She didn't know he was a faithful.
I think but I'm saying now, like, that's all been disproven, but there was a conversation about it. I just think they're also in their own heads now. She wasn't even listening to him. Yeah. Because imagine just the fear of being there at breakfast, the shock of the night before, the vibe is, there is
Kelly's going down a dark path where she's like, I don't trust anybody. I don't want anything to do with anyone. And she kind of wants it to end. She says she hates the round table. It is a bit like, I did feel a bit like these
horrible.
People are at their wits' end now. Like they need this to end.
Like, she basically said, I'm glad it's near the end, so I don't have to do another round table. But how she missed this is beyond me. I'm devastated they killed Wilkin. I had actually decided at this point that I wanted him to be the winner.
I kind of wanted him to win as well. Even though he didn't really deserve it as such. But isn't
that the ultimate game, though? To just be so confusing.
So confusing.
And,
I know, yeah.
And under the radar. But anyway, look.
I don't think it's deliberate, but he sowed so much confusion. And they all kind of... we literally said it last week about Wilkin, but I liked that they were almost echoing our comments at breakfast before he came in, or before he didn't come in, about how he would just go around pointing at every single person at the table. It could be you. It could be you. It could be. He's like the lotto.
He doesn't just say it could be anyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, Kelly, what a clanger.
Just one final word on Wilkin, though. I think. Even in his exit statement, he's such a very happy to be there.
He's so
positive
sweet.
Energy, sweet man. So
I mean, I actually didn't understand what he was talking about at the end, but I loved it.
I don't understand it either. I mean, he was a very odd energy.
He was just like, it's out of this world. Yeah. It's like, but it was just like, do you know what? He's right. Like, it's what a laugh to be there. As Paddy says, he's 6 months of the year in Ireland. Who knows what's happening?
He's just happy to be there.
Yeah, and I think that's a lovely way to approach being there, is just like a big laugh, basically.
Yeah. And Ben also says at the breakfast table, in response to the big emotional outburst with Joanna's banishment the previous night, he says kind of jokingly, I don't know what to be doing with all the girls crying, and he was not out of the woods yet. Vanessa was convinced at the breakfast that they had killed Nick for some reason, and I guess you would be thinking that because he has a history of being.
He's the most obvious traitor I've ever seen. In
How are they not putting it
he's
together?
like the Walking
Now, to be
Dead.
fair, him and Ben's names were being floated.
but
at the
like
beginning of this.
he came in like the Walking Dead. He looked that tired.
Yeah,
like
he's like at one point after the challenge, he's just sitting there and his head is like back over the sofa. He looks half asleep. He's barely able to keep his eyes open. That is the one way to spot the traitors.
Yeah, he looked like when they were in the car, so you could actually see them in daylight. I was like, that man hasn't slept. Like,
although to be fair, Faye looks tired as well. So
yeah, the emotions.
The emotions do get to you. Like.
Yeah. It was a bad vibe though. Like Jesus.
There's a lot of bad vibes in this episode. So after that, it's sort of Faye and Kelly chatting on the couch. They think it's Owen. They're also they're talking Owen. Sorry, yeah, they're talking up Nick and Ben. Actually, Faye and Kelly were a bit. And Kelly said,
So
"I like this." Did you hear
them-
Kelly say, "If it was up to me, I'd have gotten rid of them a long time ago."
That's what I don't understand. Like, she's really clever, but then she says that, but then
she went on the.
but
Faye
then she
wagon.
doesn't at all. She says, "If it was up to me," it's like it is up to you though.
Yeah. I think it's because what happens is no one is able to take themselves out of the environment and look at everyone logically. You're in your own experience and you're working with the inputs that you have. And to Kelly, her big clue / odd input, that her experience in this episode was Faye is trying to befriend me / use me.
Yeah, why is all of a sudden, yeah.
Why?
And also they're
now, why
all...
is because she's Faithful being tactical because she needs votes. Like, I
and
think
also
Kelly was
she's
right.
like no friends left.
Yeah.
But the other thing is they get so hung up. They're so hung up as soon as Joanna was gone. It's like, oh, so they'll either be obsessed with Vanessa or Owen because they're all now like, well, Owen lied. Now we discussed already extensively with Andrew. Actually, neither of them lied, and they both just kind of got it wrong.
But to be fair, in the house, that looks like a lie.
It looks like a lie,
and you gotta pursue that.
But it bothers me that they're all just fixated on that because I'm like, okay, and if you think it's Owen, totally fair if you think she was lying. But you all still seem to also know that it's Nick and just won't say it.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? Like,
I think it's just like Andrew said. Maybe they like him too much. Is it?
yes, but are you trying to get traitors or are you not trying to get traitors?
I know. Oyen thought that this had an interesting theory. She thought that Faye was using Nick and Ben, actually. So she kind of has it the wrong way around. But I mean, she was like, but she was really hung up on Faye. I know you said while we were watching this, like, Oyen's lost her touch or something. But I'm like, she still has hit the highest batting average any Faithful
and I love
we've
her.
seen on this show.
And I think Faye just does look suspicious after all the Joanna. To everyone, to a lot of people, Oyen looks suspicious after the Joanna things. But from Oyen's perspective, because she's like, I didn't lie. So from Oyen's perspective, Faye's suspicious. So like, I get it all. Yeah, I understand it all. It's just again not hugely interesting to watch because none of it's of any kind of consequence.
That's it. And then the challenge, I thought this challenge was a bit odd. It didn't really work for me. I found it a bit confusing. So they had to they just had to count to an exact time, and then with loads of distractions, and then they either did or they didn't do it.
Yeah, like I appreciate it's probably creepy to be in it, but to watch it was just a bit like, what are they counting to? What's happening?
Well, there was a moment we both went, oh, when they played Joanna's
that was good.
Comment back to them in the that was a bit.
If indeed they played it,
eye-opening.
Remember that could have just been now, and they could have
true.
been playing older clips there.
Anyway, so the aftermath of the challenge. Who'd have thought it would be so consequential as to who sits in what car? But I guess it is. It's one of the most important.
It's always one of it.
Junctures where they're on the way to their own table.
This is where Ben and Jesus, I've just blanked on his name. Ben and Nick. This is when they plotted. They turned on Andrew. The cars have always really mattered. You're right. But I like the way Kelly was like, do you know what? I'm not. Even though she was mistakenly thought that Faye was a traitor, but I like that she was like, I'm not going to be manipulated.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an interesting one. There's only 2 cars now, so
and that's really where I think Faye lost her. Actually, was her
that comment.
being in the car with Vanessa and Oyen. who basically, I think, convinced her.
I don't think they convinced her. I think it was Faye's comment, which was go in there and see if they're talking about
true.
me.
Yeah,
That's actually
nobody likes to be told what to do. Either.
That's actually, and she's like, why wasn't she comforting me yesterday?
Now, do you think? Because Faye said I didn't say that. I didn't say that's the reason you go in. I just wanted you to have a chance to speak to them.
Who knows?
But who knows? Yeah. But I thought Faye's did have a point in her favor, which was. Yeah, but I didn't follow up with you to ask you.
Yeah, that was a really good point.
So I was like, so why would I have then...
I think Faye has just been really hard done by because she's just probably so tired because everyone's just saying her name and like she's not a traitor, but like she's had to defend herself so many times.
So what else happened?
And also in the car with Faye, the two lads say, we are going for Oyen. Now this really matters later because they promised Faye they were going for Oyen. And they shocked us later on by going for Faye. And what we can't figure out is when they met in the conclave afterwards, they both kind of seem to imply that in the moment they both just changed their vote to Faye. I don't get that. And like, for all the talk of Mean Girls and everything yesterday, will these guys now get a blowback for going back on their promise to Faye and Faye crying on the way out?
They'll get blowback from Faye. I'd imagine they've all settled this behind the scenes.
Oh, I'm sure. No, I'm talking about the audience. I'm not talking about... I mean, I know they're all friends.
Oh, do you mean... Oh, will they get social media blowback?
And I'm telling you they won't, because they're not women. They will not get shit for that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they deserve shit, by the way, because I don't think anyone deserves shit. I'm just fascinated to see how an audience takes this stuff in. Because to me, that was way nastier, because they're actually friends with Faye. Whereas Joanna and... Kelly weren't friends. Joanna just gave her the shield.
Yeah.
Now, I think they did like strategically, like I understood what they were doing because if they'd both gone for Oyen as well, then there just would have been a deadlock. So like I totally get it. I'm amazed that they think so in sync that they both changed at the same time. And I really felt for the two of them. Like they were really upset. She was really upset. We're jumping ahead. But anyway, I do think they did do her dirty though by making the promise in this car after the challenge. Like that was pretty nasty.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But look, it's nasty if they... But they're playing a game and like they felt bad about it and it wasn't calculated. It was like a reaction to the way the table was going. Mm-hmm. And like...
and either
like
way,
Andrew
I think...
said earlier, it's like you live and die at the round
Exactly.
table.
And I don't mean, sorry, again, I don't mean nasty as in they're nasty people. I just think it's a nasty move. But then when I think about it, what were they going to do, as I had predicted in the last episode, if they brought her to the finale and it was the two of them and her?
But also, if
how mean would that be as well?
Well, also, if they had voted for Oyen, they'd have just split the vote, and then you go round again. Right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So, anyway, so it's interesting that this happened in this car. Anyway,
that's it. Mm-hmm. There was also a moment before they went to the round table where Nick and Ben were talking to Oyen, and they said they kind of laid out that they think it might be Oyen and Vanessa. And poor Oyen, I think, got quite upset and said she didn't want to see them anymore. So everyone is getting...
and I think this really humanised Ben because Ben just was like, that's horrible. And then it really humanised Nick because Nick's like, yeah, but think about your family, think about your kids.
Yeah.
And then I think this episode did a lovely job of humanising them all and just bringing everyone back from the brink of last night when like so many of the players and the audience came away just feeling a bit shitty last night after it. And I think... they brought in the kind of the humanizing of everyone very well at this moment to kind of remind us all, like, stop your tracks. They're all people. They're all here for a reason. And I felt bad for all of them in that room because there's too few people now. What do you do? Like, no one wants to talk to anyone. There's no crack anymore.
The's no vibe in there.
Like Faye was saying, normally
vibes.
Before the round table we used to all be chatting, and now it's just like, who are you voting for and why? Oh, I'd hate to be in there now.
And then at the round table, let's get to it. So Faye kicks off at Vanessa talking about the sort of... I got lost here again. It's like Faye and Vanessa were just kind of back and forth about like who said what and like Joe said this and then you said that and it got very heated.
It was both heated and dull because it's the same conversations we were hearing yesterday.
I know, it felt like an awful continuation
like we're just watching it
going, round table.
None of you were traitors and you're all misremembering like teeny incidents that have no impact.
It was uncomfortable to watch.
It was horrible,
and I felt bad for everybody who was watching at the round table and I felt bad for the two of them.
I felt bad for them.
What a waste of time. But they can't help it.
And like that sense of injustice that everyone has, where they're both like, no, but you're talking over me, but you're talking over me.
I know, and then Nick tried to sort of, diffuse it, and
then Vanessa was like, well, if you're going to tell me to stop, tell her to stop. And then Nick did go, actually, both of you, like he did.
I thought he was pretty balanced as a mediator.
I don't like the implication that Vanessa's shouting at or being aggressive, because I don't see that she was at all. And I didn't like I just don't think it's fair to say to somebody you're shouting when they're not shouting.
I didn't think anyone was shouting.
Do they know what shouting is?
Yeah, nobody was shouting.
None of them were shouting.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was all very unpleasant. Didn't like watching it.
And then Kelly turned on Faye about the car thing, and then there was a whole thing about attack. And
obviously that's the moment, like both lads changed their plan at the same time. Like that's actually, they're very
They
in
must,
sync.
but I'd say they shot each other a look.
Do you think? Yeah, it's too much. Like
they know each other well enough. I'd say they shot each other a look, a tactical look, and sort of just pointed over to Faye with their eyebrows or something.
Ooh, maybe, I don't know. There's only
That'd be my guess.
There's only 6 people at the table. It'd be a bit obvious.
I mean, maybe, yeah. And also, all the cameras are on them, so if they had done that,
they'd have shown
us, the audience.
I reckon they're just thinking similarly, like strategically.
Maybe you're right.
And then I just went, oh God, when Ben showed Faye's name.
Well, before that, I thought this was interesting when Siobhan goes, if for anyone who hasn't spoken, now is like, there's 6 people here, and nope, there are people who haven't spoken. I mean,
my God,
what are we doing?
This is where I'm like, girls, Nick, who has not shut up at a round table, hasn't said one word other than to try and diffuse the argument, and Ben has nothing to say.
And he's not, but Nick for 7 episodes pre him becoming a traitor, was pushing an agenda and pushing the round table. He was dominating the round table. It's amazing they can't see it.
And they don't remember Paddy voting for him. They don't remember that him and Ben, like, and I guess they don't know that they don't know that they turned on Andy the way they did with kind of breaking promises similarly to what they do now. But yeah, that all of that stuff, I just want to grab the women and say, pull yourselves out of the silliness and like these disputes that are all nonsense, and actually look around and who's acting differently.
Yeah.
And like the most glaringly obvious is Nick.
Yeah.
But none of them can see it. And
they kind of can as well, and they're just not acting on it.
But that's why I loved having Andrew's perspective. Just, he's like, but everyone just really likes him. So like, yeah, that's all really interesting. Anyway, poor Faye went, and actually we gasped when we saw Ben had written her name.
It was a big one. But before that though, when Siobhan, there was a great Ben moment where Siobhan says that, like, does it for anyone who hasn't spoken, now's your time to speak. And then it went to Ben, and he just said, no, I'm just gonna vote. Like, he said nothing.
Nothing to say.
But he looked defeated.
He looked upset.
He said he was upset. I think
I felt bad for them. Yeah, I just think they all just felt like it's not fun anymore. Like,
no,
you just want to be having the crack and like.
But when he turned, like you said, when he turned over, we both gasped when he voted for Faye, and I felt very bad for her. Her lip was quivering.
She looked so upset.
She looked distraught.
And she's basically like my best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They stabbed her in the back.
It's quite similar to what happened earlier on in the season when Linda said that like Kelly and I think it was Amy and a few of them voted on her, and Linda said in Traitors Uncloaked that like that was the moment she got really upset because you're just like, oh, it's my buddies, but look, there's too few people there now. And
also I think this happens in the other seasons we've watched anyway. This is the point where friendships are formed and betrayals happen because you've been in there for 11 days within an intense situation with these people. So like everything hurts. Those betrayals that you just mentioned that Linda said, like they cut twice as deep now.
Oh God, yeah. And also you feel, and they're like so close to the end, you know, so you're like, it's like you can see the money probably and you can start thinking maybe I will win it, whereas I think earlier on like no one's really thinking they're going to win the money. And I just felt so bad for Faye because she was so upset when she walked out. She was like, you know, like she didn't call the lads out, but she essentially did.
Nick couldn't even look at her.
No, and Andrew was and Ben was covering his face, and like she just didn't go out swinging the way Joanne did yesterday, but she was so upset. They were all so upset. The vibe's horrific. And that's the moment then I'm like, okay, so now are they going to start looking at Nick? Or are they just like, not. oh, it must
I
be
don't know.
Ian now.
Yeah.
They always just
I
go,
don't know.
who was the other person? But like, I'd forgotten about this banquet actually, and I know it's happened earlier in other seasons in the English one, but this was, I think, production.
Oh, the show needed it.
They nailed it.
Yeah,
They were
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"This
What
is
timing?
we have to do it now because otherwise
Yeah.
there's no life in the show left."
Because
If
it
they
usually happens. It happened a bit earlier in the UK one last time, didn't
and
it?
they needed
Yeah.
to, they actually did need to, like, because the audience in Ireland was so awful about a lot of them yesterday that the audience needs to kick up the arse to be
Yeah.
like, these are all real people with real stories.
And look, they can all just be friends under different
Exactly,
circumstances.
yeah.
So chill out.
And like, it, you know, like listening to them all speak is very affecting. We learn things about all of them we never knew. I mean, Vanessa was in direct provision. Like when she talked about losing her career and her dad, like in the same month. Like at this point now, I'm just like, I really want Vanessa to win.
Honestly,
But I'd be happy with any of them winning.
this scene, if you can call it that, this putting these 5 strangers from various, you know, parts of Ireland with various different backgrounds and experiences. I mean, this is kind of a fascinating sideshow in itself, and one that I think society needs when we've gone so polarized with everything. And if you actually just put human beings next to each other with different experiences, you'll find they find common ground.
And there's so much like anti-immigration rhetoric. And it's like, well, when you say you're anti-immigration, what are you saying? Because here's someone telling us what she's been through.
Yeah.
And look what an incredible woman she is.
Yeah.
And like, look what she's bringing to this country and to the show. So like, look what she's been through. And I think I love to see in a show of this volume, the biggest show in the country, that we're actually having conversations.
Yes.
I was really surprised to hear Nick had a kid at 23. I thought Ben speaking about his family was incredibly moving.
Yes.
I thought Kelly saying she'd pay off her parents' mortgage is adorable. I thought Oyen speaking about her mother was lovely.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one sitting there that I'm like not rooting for now, and they pulled it out at exactly the right time.
Well, and the,
I
the
really hope it's
temptation
for-
is you've some people who are like, Eamon was kind of, I think, leaning into a character and
Yeah.
doing his, and Nick's doing a bit of that as well. You're doing your one-liners to camera.
Yeah, and that's
You're
fun
kind
too.
of, that's fun, but the temptation is for the audience to, you know, we like our heroes and villains, and we like our storytelling, and we like to stereotype people or pigeonhole them or label them, and I thought this just did a great job at just dimensionalizing all
Exactly.
these people even further and reminding us that they are
they all have internal lives.
they have internal lives
Yeah.
and external lives, and they're not just their actions at a round table in a reality
Exactly.
game show where they might win.
And Kelly said she'd bring the
small amount
girls
of
on
money.
holidays. Like, come on.
Yeah, no, it was lovely.
It was lovely.
Yeah.
And I think the thing about just this in general as well is when we were talking to Andrew earlier, and I said it's kind of a boring narrative for the two lads to win. After this episode, I wouldn't mind seeing them win because I think they were both really humanised. So I think the show
But you know,
has
and-
turned it around now. I'm happy for any
And
of them
they've
to
kind
win.
of they've ridden they've had some luck and ridden some circumstances, but like they're playing a good. They're as deserving as anyone
Yeah,
else
exactly.
if they do win. To
Yeah.
be fair to them,
God, only one night left.
I think what people were railing against was their sort of their alpha
Is
male
the macho-ness.
macho
Yeah.
energy, which is admittedly can be a bit off-putting.
Yeah, but I think they really broke through that, and it was lovely to
I
see
think so
their
too.
more sensitive sides this episode for sure.
Well, it's quite incredible how Ben said, you know, his wife has only ever seen him get emotion. It just not even cry, just be emotion, show
Yeah.
emotion a handful of times, and he was in an environment where he felt comfortable to do it on national television.
I know.
So
and,
that's
but then Angie was saying you forget the
that's brave.
cameras,
You
and
do
also
forget
the
the
other
cameras,
thing is they're sleep deprived. They're all knackered after the round table. Like, they all really needed a release. I'd say they all felt terrible the last two
Yes.
nights. Like. So it all builds up to being a place where you're likely to be emotional.
I just actually felt really bad that Faye didn't get to join that dinner.
I
'Cause I feel like she
know.
could have really used it.
I actually was thinking of her and Joanne in particular. The two of them went out under
Yeah.
quite nasty circumstances, and the feeling that you must have of just leaving, being on your own, feeling betrayed, and you just walk out, and then I know there'll be a producer there to give you a hug, but like, could you imagine? Whereas like Paddy went out swinging, Like, it's not the same.
Paddy wouldn't have hugged that producer.
Exactly. Anyway, thank you everyone for listening. We'll be watching the finale and recapping that, and we've loved doing this show, and thanks again to our wonderful guest Andrew.
Yeah, thanks for listening. If you want to chat to us, you can email us thecinemile@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram @thecinemile, or what else?
Come over to Patreon.
Patreon.com/thecinemile.
Oh, and yeah. We'll see you back here.
Come over there. We're doing a episode later this week on Alien Earth, which has just... it hasn't finished. It'll have finished by the time I've done the episode. It's finishing on Wednesday. So we've got Elaine and Mark from the Honeymoon Period podcast coming on. I'm going to chat with them because Kathy could not give a shit about that show.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
That's the sound of the fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron and the quiet confidence of ultra-smooth handling. The elevated interior reminds you this is more than an EV. This is electric performance redefined.